welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here today to do my August TBR. So last month I actually did really well. I think I read 17 or 18 books, which is super impressive, and it's why I have a pretty ambitious August TBR, but I think I can handle it. So the first 3 books I'm reading this month, I won't get into it because a vlog will be coming out next week. But just to give you a kind of idea, I am reading 3 romance books this week, but we'll get into the actual books that I plan on reading. So as I say every month, if you have been following my TBRs, you'll know that I have been participating in Books and Lala's Buzz Wordathon. And essentially what it is every month there is a buzzword or a buzz theme, and you need to pick books surrounding that topic. So this month I'm pretty sure it's like time of day or something along that nature. So I have here A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. So this is the second book in the An Ember and the Ashes series. I did read the first book, I think probably in 2020, but I've been meaning to continue the series because the first book ended on a real cliffhanger. This series follows 2 main characters, one named Laia, who is a slave, and the other named Elias, who is a soldier for the overarching government in the series. Laia's brother is arrested for treason, and she's kind of forced to make this decision where she has to work for the rebels and spy on the Emperor's greatest military academy in exchange for them finding her brother. There is where Laia meets Elias, who is a soldier training in the academy, and the two soon realize that their destinies are intertwined. So like I said, I read the first book in this series. I really enjoyed it. I did have some problems with the writing. I'm hoping that the writing does improve in this one. I'm really looking forward to finally continuing the series. I'm pretty sure the last one came out at the end of last year, so the entire series is out, and if I really do like the second book, I can kind of just binge the rest of them. I also forgot to mention that this book is part of my 2021 oldest owned TBR, so I will link that up above so you can see the other books that are part of this project. But I did buy this quite a while ago along with An Ember in the Ashes, so it would be good to really knock this one out. Going along with that playlist, we also had the non-fiction books I need to read this year, and one of those was Notes on a Nervous Planet by Matt Haig. This is Matt Haig's non-fiction book on his experiences with anxiety. Earlier on this year, I did read Matt Haig's Reasons to Stay Alive, which is one of my favorite non-fiction reads that I read this year. I really like how Matt Haig writes. I think his writing is super easy to get into, and it is super impactful and really like holds a presence when reading. So obviously I'm very excited to pick this up. It's short, it's small, it's cute, and I can't wait to read it. Next, I have a couple of arcs I wanted to get into. Usually a lot of booktubers will reserve some arcs for arc August, so I do have a couple here that I do need to get to. The first of which is a book that has already come out this year. This is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niveau. This book follows a young girl named Jordan Baker who has grown up in the most rare of 1920s society in America. She has the money and she has the most exclusive invitations to the best parties of the jazz age, but treated as an exotic attraction by her peers. And because of that, the most important doors still remain closed to her. This is a 2021 reimagining of The Great Gatsby. Now, if you know me, you might know that I didn't really like The Great Gatsby. Like, it was fun to read. I enjoyed my time with it, but it wasn't anything special to me. I don't understand the attraction to The Great Gatsby, but I do understand the attraction to the 1920s and this like flapper jazz age era. And I think The Chosen and the Beautiful will give me that 1920s love that I need while changing and reimagining the parts of The Great Gatsby that I didn't particularly enjoy. The next arc I need to read is The Last Beautiful Girl by Nina Lauren, and I don't know much about this one, but I'll read the pitch. It's Black Mirror meets Darcy Coates in this exploration of the dangerous dark side of beauty in the digital age with a gothic haunted house setting. So essentially, from what I understand, Izzy needs to leave her home in Brooklyn to move into this fancy mansion with her parents. Izzy therefore throws herself into her Instagram content, and she uses the gowns and jewelries that she finds around the house, and they strangely make her look unnaturally perfect in her photos, and she begins to go viral. I don't know much else about this book, but it does definitely sound like something I would like. It sounds very like Katrina Leno-esque, and my friend Danny over at Current Chapter recently read this and gave it a 5 stars. Sometimes we don't align on things that we like, but sometimes we do, and I'm hoping that this book is one of those cases. The next arc I have, I am so excited to read. It is Iron Widow by Shirin J. Zhao, and I cannot express how much I need to read this book right now. So the reason I picked up this arc right away is that I saw it on Tammy's channel over at Tammy Tries to Read, and she was talking about how this book had a very large mecha element. And if you know me, you know that I fucking love mecha shit. Neon Genesis Evangelion is my favorite anime. I'm obsessed with like mecha stuff, so when I heard about this book, I knew I needed to read it. Basically, this book follows a girl, I think it's pronounced Zacian, and she offers herself up to be this concubine pilot in order to assassinate the male pilot that was responsible for her sister's death. And then the synopsis from what I'm reading really goes into big spoiler territory, and I kind of don't want to read more because I feel like so much has already been revealed to me. But essentially, Zacian is labeled an Iron Widow, a much feared and much silenced kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up the chrysalises, which I'm assuming are the mechas. Interesting. I am even more hyped than I was before to read this. Next, we have a 2020 release I really need to read. This is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. If you watched my mid-year book Freakout Tag, I just want to show again how beautiful this book is. It's not ugly. But this is the second installment in Leigh Bardugo's King of Scars duology, which in itself is the third series in her Grishaverse universe. So I won't go too much into detail about this book, but it does follow two characters from the Shadow and Bone series, Nikolai and Zoya. The Shadow and Bone series followed a girl named Alina, who one day discovers that she has Grisha powers and is thrown into the Grisha army in order to defend her country from an impending doom called the Fold. So this definitely takes place years after the events of Shadow and Bone, and also after the Six of Crows duology, so a lot of spoilers for what's going on in here. I have heard completely mixed things about this book. Either people really like it or people really don't like it, and I'm really curious to see where I fall onto this. I usually like endings of series. I'm really a big sucker for fan service, so I will probably enjoy this, but we'll see how I feel. Next, speaking of Tammy, I also have another book that I heard from her channel. This is Jade City by Fonda Lee, and I am, again, so excited to pick this one up. So this book follows a kind of society where jade is kind of treated as this like lifeblood substance that people need, and in fact people have mined, traded, stolen, and killed for it for centuries. Green bone warriors like the Cole family have used it to enhance their magical abilities and defend the island from foreign invasion. When a powerful new drug emerges that lets anyone, even foreigners, wield jade, the simmering tension between two families erupts into open violence. The outcome of this clan war will determine the fate of all green bones. So I'm excited. I have literally heard nothing but 5-star reviews for this series. I have never been more excited to read a backlist book. Next on the TBR, we're going to continue my Brandon Sanderson projects. If you've been watching my TBR since the beginning of the year, I have been trying to read one Brandon Sanderson work per month within the Cosmere. This month we have a bit of an unknown series, or at least I didn't know about this series until I picked up Brandon Sanderson's Arcanum Unbounded to read the novellas within the Cosmere series, and I saw a graphic novel section. And I hadn't known that Brandon Sanderson wrote a graphic novel, so when I looked it up, I realized that there are 3 volumes in this series. So this month, because they are graphic novels, I will be reading or attempting to read all 3. So this series takes place on a planet called Taldane, and this is where the Sandmasters harness powers to manipulate sand in a numerous amount of ways. The Sandmasters are slaughtered by a rival group, and our main character, Kenton, believes that he is the only Sandmaster left. With enemies closing on all sides, Kenton forms an unlikely partnership with a person named Chris, who is a mysterious Darksider with secrets of her own. I believe we saw these 2 characters in the second era of Mistborn, so they really intrigued me. We only saw them for like a couple of pages, but I needed to know more about them, and as soon as I saw it, knowing that I would be picking up White Sand very soon, I was very excited to pick this series up. It's especially interesting to me to see Brandon Sanderson's writing or his creativity in art form, so I'm very looking forward to that. Next, as some of you may know, I am a Patreon for Mel over at Mel Reads, and every month she hosts a book club. This month there were 2 reads, but I only decided to pick up one, and that is For the City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This book has has taken booktube by storm. I only see praise for this series, so I think it's about time that I pick it up. So this takes place on the streets of 18th century Cairo and follows a con woman named Nari, and she makes a living by swindling Ottoman nobles. One day Nari accidentally summons a jinn warrior and she becomes forced to flee Cairo. Journey across the hot desert to reach a city called the Daevabad. It is the legendary city of brass and it is steeped in magic. So obviously I don't know much about the series. I have kind of kept my eyes closed when it came to this super hype series. I'm finally picking it up and I'm super excited. The next book on my TBR is part of a buddy reading read along that I'm doing with Danny over at Current Chapter. We are reading the Lord of the Rings series. This month we have The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. So I'm sure everyone knows what this book is about, but if you don't, it follows a young hobbit named Frodo. Frodo is given an immense task to journey across Middle Earth in order to destroy the ruling ring of power. This will be a reread for me. I love the Lord of the Rings series, and this year I'm really truly growing to appreciate what I have been reading because I have decided to pair my rereads with audiobooks and the Encyclopedia of Tolkien by David Day, and it has been really enhancing my experience. I'm learning so much about the Lord of the Rings series, so I'm very excited to continue it and learn way more than I have already. And the last book on my TBR, on this ambitious TBR, is a pull from last month that I didn't get to. This is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Again, I mentioned this in the mid-year book freakout tag, but Robin Hobb quickly, with one novella, became one of my favorite authors this year, and I know absolutely that I need to pick up more from her. This is the first book in the first trilogy of her Elderling series. This first trilogy is called the Farseer trilogy, and it follows a young boy named Fitz. Fitz was raised in the castle stables. He is the bastard son of the king, and to prove himself useful to the crown, Fitz decides to become an assassin using the traditional magic of the Farseer trilogy to survive. Excited is not even close to what I'm feeling about this book, about this entire TBR. I can't wait to read this. Robin Hobb had some of the most beautiful writing that I've read this year, so eagerly anticipating reading this. So these are all of the books plus the arcs on my TBR that I want to read this month, and it is super heavy, so I'm gonna put this down. Let me know down below in the comments if you've read any of these books. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you think I'll hate them? Let me know. Don't forget to follow me on any of my social medias. I leave a link down below to my Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads. And also, if you would like to support my channel and help me out, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell, because obviously, as I said, it helps me out and it makes me feel really good. And I'm getting to the end of these videos and I don't know how to end these things, so I guess I will see you next time. Bye!